Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be doing my January wrap up. I almost worded all of that weird, but that is what we are doing, January wrap up. So let's just jump straight on into it. So I have broken things down just a little bit more, just so I can see for myself, but also I'm going to share it with you guys anyways. But it is more so I can see for myself if I am sticking to some of my goals. So in total, I read 12 books. And that ranges from books starting at 27 pages, so short story, all the way up to about 400 pages, I believe. So it's a nice little range. I had one DNF, and then 4 of the 12 I read were arcs. So that's good because I wanted to make progress on my arcs that I have a backlog of. 2 of the books I own, so that's... That's not a very good number right there because we want what I read to be the stuff I own. And so that means the rest of them, the last 6 books, were from the library. So, but granted, some of those were books that had carried over from December when I had checked them out in December and, read them in January. So the average rating was about 3.4. That was my average rating for the month. And then the average page count was about 283.3 pages. So it's not too bad. It's definitely a little all over the place, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and let's get into these. Some of them I'm not going to go super deep into because I talked about them in other videos. So I will hopefully have them linked either in the description below or like at the end of the video if I can figure out how to do that. Just figuring out how to do YouTube still. So to start out with is 3 of the books I read were manga, and they were in the arc pile that I had. And so that would have been Ashita no Joe, Fighting for Tomorrow. That was a 2.5. It wasn't a strong start to the series. I am going to continue reading it because I have always wanted to read it. I love sports manga, so I will continue reading it. I just don't think it was a really strong like opening spot for it, Then we had Windbreaker by Satro Ni. This was 4 stars. This was my favorite genre, delinquent manga. My absolute favorite. I loved it. I did think they went into one of the characters' backgrounds just a little too fast, but what can you do? But overall, I love the premise, the idea, the whole I'm a delinquent, we're all a bunch of delinquents, but we protect this town. So cute. I love it. And the third manga was Go Go Loser Ranger by Haruba Negi. This one was 3-star. I didn't really think it did anything all that cool. You're following the villain instead of the good guys. The good guys are not so good. It wasn't really spectacular. It didn't blow me away. Now, as for the books that I got from the library, the first one would be Mad Woman by Louisa Traeger. This was my DNF. This was just unfortunately just too slow moving. The pacing just really wasn't enticing and it didn't keep me interested. It also didn't inspire me to want to go and learn about Nellie Bly. So I returned it. Then we have Red in Tooth and Claw by Lish McBride. This was a 1-star. This was super disappointing. It was supposed to be a Western horror and it was more like Western with like a pinprick of horror. And that was really disappointing. And then, of course, it had an unnecessary love story. Like, it really, really did not need it. Less love story, more horror would have been nice. After that, I read The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim. This is book 2 in the 6 Crimson Cranes duology. I gave it a 3.5. I enjoyed it. But I do think it could have been better, and I do think there was a lot of it that was just kind of like really disconnected within it. So it was a little disappointing, but overall I did still enjoy it enough. If you want to hear more about what I say, I'll have it linked because I did talk about it in one of my weekly wrap-ups. Then I listened to the audiobook for The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Lewis Robert Stevenson. This is the first time I've ever actually listened to the story. I know the tale. Everybody does. It's a classic. Lots of surprises while listening to it. because Hollywood has definitely changed the description of Mr. Hyde compared to what was originally written. So, yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't like anything mind-blowing or anything, but very interesting to see how Hollywood and media portrays the story versus how it was originally written. They're strikingly different. Then I read King Nix by Kirsten Backus. This was a 3.5. Again, I enjoyed it. It wasn't anything mind-blowing. It was interesting. It had an intriguing idea and plotline, which is what kept me going. And it started out with like a very gothic vibe, but then it kind of like disappeared and kind of turned into a mystery thriller kind of thing, which was cool. But yeah, overall, it was decent. It was enjoyable. You know, feel like a little mystery thriller. You know, I'd just give it a try. Then I have Devils Kill Devils by Johnny Compton. So this is an ARC Plus library book because I had the ARC last year and it's now been released. So I got the audiobook to listen to it, and this was a 1-star. This was very disappointing. This is the second Johnny Compton book I've tried. I liked The Spite House more. But he just kind of does some things in his storytelling that just doesn't vibe with me, and that's like, he doesn't really like let you live in the horror moment. He just kind of like explains it to you kind of thing, which is a really big letdown. And then the characters never really interact with each other. It's just so little interaction with his characters, hardly any talking. Not only that, I was just disappointed that it went the route of vampires. I was really digging the idea of a guardian angel killing people. And it was like, no, they're vampires. And I was like, oh, that's lame. But I'm not a vampire person. So, I mean, if you're a vampire person, you might enjoy it more than me. So that's all of those. So now the last three, actually, I'm sorry. Fox 8 is another one I got from the library. So this little guy right here. This is one where I got it from the library 2 days ago, and I read it the same day. I honestly probably should have just read it at the library. It's cute. I give it a 3.5. I do feel the importance of the message gets lost in the writing style because you follow a fox who learned how to speak human by listening to humans speak. And he is writing a letter to the humans. And I don't know if it will... It's written in a manner of like, you can tell that English is not the fox's first language, you know? And so for the most part, my brain is able to understand what the fox is saying, but there was a couple of times where I wasn't getting it because I was like, I don't know what that word is trying to be. And so it took a little bit of like detective work, as I like to say, when I can't figure out what the author is trying to tell me. And so I do think the message gets a little bit lost in that because it's about how humans just kind of take over an area and kick the animals out, and just how we can just be nasty, vile creatures ourselves to, you know, places where animals live. You know, it's one of those things where I always hear people talk about how, oh, animals are so invasive. We invaded their home. I hear it all the time with people in Florida. They're like, these iguanas are invading my home. You invaded their home first. Yeah. And I think that is what this was trying to do. It was trying to show how we invade other species' spaces and how we don't care that we invade it, and just how unnecessarily cruel humans can be towards animals, because there is a scene in here that does hit like with enough impact to make you understand like, wow, that's messed up. That's clearly messed up. And I do feel though that like the shortness is nice because it's super blunt and it's like, this is a problem. But I do think the writing style hinders it just a little bit, even though I understand what the author was going for. So I definitely say it's worth checking out. It's 21 pages. It's not like you're going to waste your time or anything. Like, it'll take you like 20 minutes to read it, you know? Definitely worth checking it out. You know, maybe 30 minutes if you have to like do a little detective work to figure out what the spelling is supposed to be. But either way, I say give it a shot, but it has a good message in it. I just feel the message gets just a little bit lost. So Yeah. Moving on. Yeah, so now I'm just talking about the ones that I just finished this week. So this also like counts as like a weekly wrap up, just so you guys know. So last night I finally finished Seven Forges by James A. Moore. Loved it. 4 stars. It's not 5-star worthy, but it is 4-star worthy because it's very much like, you can definitely tell there is a lot of focus on like setting up the people and the cultures and everything, which he does pretty well. There's also, what also kind of like pulls it back from that 5-star is how some of the female characters are presented and treated. It gets a little grating at times because it's very like, women are they're just sexy ladies. They're just sexy ladies. Like, and you're just kind of like, okay, buddy. But it ends on such an amazing cliffhanger that I'm like, I don't own book 2. Am I going to have to get that from the library and read another library book next month? Because I am so interested in knowing what happens next. But there's a war starting. The politics that are involved in it are very interesting. There's these people from the Seven Forges who they train to fight and fight and fight. Like, that's all they've ever known to do. And nobody even thought people lived in the Seven Forges. So you're seeing these culture clashes come together, and I thought like Moore handled that pretty well with seeing the different culture clashes and how they were trying to appease each other while also not embarrassing themselves, but also not insulting someone else. It was really intriguing. I'm very invested in Drask's storyline, and then Andover, the 16-year-old kid who loses his hands. I'm not going to tell you how, but it's tragic, bro. I'm very interested in their 2 stories. And yeah, I'm very intrigued. I'm going to continue going with this. I very much enjoyed it. I'm so glad that like 6 years ago me was like, that's such a hot guy on the cover. I want to read it, because it ended up being a good book. Such silly, petty little reasons, you know? So after that, the other one I finished was They Threw Us Away by Daniel Kraus. This is a middle grade book. This was 5 stars. This is the only 5-star book I had this month. I was not expecting this to be 5 stars. This was absolutely fantastic. It was also, I cried so much reading this. The bits of horror that are in here are unhinged. Okay, they're just absolutely unhinged. I will be talking about this more in a more deeper vlog, because I'm putting a middle grade vlog together. So if you guys are interested in that, you guys can watch it. But this was just absolutely insane. You follow some teddy bears who wake up inside of a landfill, and they're like, this isn't right. We're supposed to be with a child during our forever sleep. And they're trying to figure out why and how they ended up in the landfill. And I can definitely tell you, I myself, as someone who has worked in retail, I'm like, what was the reason? Why are they in the landfill? What happened? Are they defective? Or were they recalled? Are they old versions? Like, have they brought in a newer one? Like, what is the reason? What's the reason? But there also does seem to be like this other like magical element where there's like this teddy bear who was the first one, and you're trying to like figure out like, is it actually real, or is it just like kind of like within the teddy bear world. Like, it's got a bunch of intriguing elements, but the horror elements are off the wall. But like I said, if you want to know more when I talk more about it, I'll have a vlog that features it. So yeah, but 5 stars. My first 5-star of the year is a middle grade book that had me crying like crazy. And then I did start both The Rambling, which by Jimmy Cajoles. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And then The Apocalypse 7 by Jean Ducate. I have started both of these, haven't finished them obviously. This will also be included in my middle grade vlog that I'm putting together. This is just what I'm reading because it's the last one of the, I have like 5 books left over from the library. So this is one of them. It's intriguing so far. Haven't really gotten too far in it though, like in either one, haven't really gotten far. So that's what I've started. So that's what I'm going into February with reading, because I'm not doing TBRs anymore. I'm just picking up stuff and reading them. So there we go. There is everything that I read in January. A quick rundown. Like I said, I'll have links to other videos that talk more in depth about some of these other books. I'm just trying to make like the wrap-up videos a little bit quicker to get through, so hopefully this style works. And yeah, like, subscribe, comment, all those great things, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.